It all started at 4 a.m. this morning when the alarm panel batteries went dead. All hell broke loose, and so here I am, totally wide awake. Short version, need a coffee really bad early in the morning, start the generator, get it running, go check, charge the wife's car with the generator because I'm just curious. And now I gotta see how many amps an hour can it actually take from a portable generator. But that's another story. Is the ice cream melting? I have no idea. Go check that, check the pool, and while I'm doing that, power's out again. Go follow the big wires where they're going, find out what's wrong, check the fancy lighting, make sure everything's up and running. Finally make that cup of coffee. And then hand everything back off to the Chief of Security, Carl, here, and rearm the systems, and start the day. Alright, that's the 30-second version. Now here's what really happened. Hey, I'm Dave. Welcome to my power outage. It's 4 a.m., and thanks to the way the alarms and the driveway monitor works when it runs out of battery, I'm up. And I'm going to have a coffee. And I know there's no chance that this thing's going to actually power a coffee machine, but I'm kind of desperate, and I've had a power heating blanket, and the specs look like it might have a shot, so here's hoping. Waiting for the blue light. Blue light. Green light. Even better. And a clock. Oh, it looks like it's made it this far. It's in preheat mode. That's a good sign. If we can do preheat and the motor, we should be golden. But take a few seconds to kick in. Survey says no. I'll give it one more shot, hoping against hope, but I think it's time to face the generator. Now, there's one thing you got to do with your generator. It's drain the fuel out of the carburetor when you park the thing. Well, not park it, when you stop it. So I always run it dry, and when I go to start it again, I have to open the fuel valve like so. So if you find my generator or steal it, remember to turn on the fuel valve. Pull the choke out, crank. Bump the choke in a little bit. Alright, as soon as this thing fires up, I can actually bump that choke in about halfway. And as soon as combustion looks stable, I'll bump in the rest of the way and not put any real load on it to speak of until it's a little warmer. Your astute observers will notice I've got a 50 amp and a 30 amp cable hanging off of this thing. One goes to each service panel. I have 4 service panels in this house, 200 amps each. And I'm off this generator powering a 50 and a 30. And I've got the Tesla itself hanging off of this one. Let's see if it'll run. See if it likes the power, if it's clean enough. It's thinking, oh yeah, it's clean. It's happy. No ground fault. Now, the real question is, will it trip a breaker? And how much will it actually put out? Well, hasn't blown anything yet. Let's go take a look. So my basic curiosity was really just how fast, once I knew it could charge it at all, could this generator actually charge the Tesla? And it'll tell me because it'll tell me what the charging range is being extended by the current charge. So if we see we're doing 240 volts here, and we'll confirm on the dash, it's seeing the 240, 241. We can see the amperage display will ramp up to about 32 full amps here, and when it does so, we'll see it producing 22 miles per hour of range. That's pretty impressive for a little 13 kilowatt generator. So that's one point of curiosity, but what about the main one? Is there a light on in the fridge? Freezer actually in this case. My egos are safe. My ice cream will not melt today. When you're storing food away against a potential future shortage, I figure that calories per meter squared is a good metric. Also, the maximum number of tasty waffles that you can stuff into here. Like, you can put them in the door. And right after the waffle inventory, the next most important thing on my list is Christmas lights. And you're probably thinking, oh, look at that amazing interaction between Dave's video camera and his Christmas lights. But no, that's actually how they look. It's the generator is not a very clean power source. It's like the squarest of square waves. And, oh, speaking of which, talk too soon. So the challenge I faced here was that this house, to power it properly to code with a generator would require 600 amps of output, or if you can do the math on that, probably about a 120 kilowatt generator, which is like a small delivery truck at a minimum. So to run it with something this small, you can only selectively power. So how do you shed load? And that's kind of the trick, because you don't have to shed load with a portable generator. You can selectively power just a single panel with a mechanical interrupt. We'll see those later, but that's all I've done here, is run one cable per panel, in this case the 2 panels, and certainly there's only 30 amps of service in one case going to a large number of breakers, but they're all really LED lighting, and so they're not even really stressing that breaker. The other one has some mechanical, but I'm not running any of the 240 volt. So we can follow the main cables. Pardon the mess here, but it was kind of a dark when I had to do this. Dark and scary, actually. And so here's where they enter the house. 50 amp on the left, 30 amp on the right, and they go to the 2 panels on the other side of the wall. Alright, let's head back and take a look at those load centers. But let's do it cinematically. The 50 and the 30 amp coil were twisted like snakes in the jungle heat as they came around that corner. Here we are back at the generator. Come around the side, past the Tesla, step over the cable, come on up over, and on your right, 2 of the 4 load centers. And as you can see, well, you probably won't be able to see, there's a shutoff for a 3rd load center. And a whole bunch of breakers. But, as I said, we're talking about breakers where you've got a lamp plugged in and breakers where you've got 4 ceiling pot LEDs, things like that. So, by knowing what takes any amount of load, you can be reasonably careful. I'm not going to power my heated floor while I weld in the hot tub and bake a turkey and dry my robe in the dryer. Now, that's because I don't mind thinking about the choices of, well, if I run the blender and the hairdryer and the vacuum at the same time, and the Tesla's charging, I'm going to draw more than 50 amps of service on this panel, and therefore it's going to pop the service breaker on the generator. These silver interlock plates are really the brains of the system because that would prevent you from having your generator and the county power, or the utility power, enabled at the same time. Because of the way the plate is cut and can only slide up and down, one of them has to be off. And that keeps the lineman safe since you can't electrocute one with your generator that way. For proof that everything works as designed, let's check the most important essential service, the colored lighting in the garage, because what else would you wire first, of course? Actually, when there's a security fault, everything kind of defaults to white, so it's not going to be pretty, but it's all working. Things being what they are of late, I don't get many visitors around the shop, so I've mostly spent most of my time talking to Carl, really. The thing about Carl is he don't talk back much, which is actually kind of a good thing, because, you know, some people you just can't get along with because they are always talking, and other people, they're fine, they know when to listen and when to talk, but Carl, he's a good listener, so it's actually impressive considering he owns his own rocket and stuff. But nothing in the shop fridge of interest, beer, water, coffee. So this content's a little out of my wheelhouse. It's kind of new for me, so if you're finding it entertaining, I'd appreciate it if you consider subscribing so that I know to make more of it. If I see a subscriber bump, that's actually what I'll focus on, and you'll see just more stuff like this. So I'd appreciate that. Thanks. Now, as I wander into frame here, I know you're thinking, holy cow, look at this guy. What's he, $280? $3? No, it's just a big coat. Look at those fit, skinny legs. $3. That's harsh. Anyway, this is my battery cupboard, and this is where I keep my golf cart batteries, which are wired together. So the inverter is powered by parallel banks of pairs of golf cart batteries, which are 6 volts, so I get 12 volts, and it's kind of like a big car battery. Pulling about 1140 for watts here, it looks like. That's enough to keep the coffee machine heating. I'm guessing it's like a 1200 watt element, and there's some nominal loss. We'll see what's going on in a few seconds here. Now, if you're thinking this is what Sanford and Son might look like if it was in the lithium-ion age, I can't argue that, but these came out of the Gator and ATV and stuff, and you can't just throw them away, so I gotta store them until I can take them to recycling. Now, you might notice that my mug is flashing amber because it's an Ember, and if you've watched my recent Ember video, you know I'm a fan of them. And here I am actually using it. The mug is battery powered, and because of that, it was the only thing that was up and running this morning, or at least heated anyway. And somewhere I just realized there's a poor sucker sitting there thinking, how's he making a cup of coffee with 2 car booster packs and they're not plugged in and it doesn't make no sense. Yeah, sorry Jebediah, I just had to get them out of the way in order to get the coffee machine hooked up to the inverter. So they're just kind of sitting there, and I realize now it looks like they have something to do with me making coffee. Nope, totally unrelated. But why do they say 1,500? It says 1,000 peak amps. Okay, I'll buy that, I guess. And 500 what? Non-continuous, because there's no way it makes 500 continuous. Now, here comes my coffee. Now, if you're not already thinking it, you probably should be thinking, this guy's pretty serious about his first cup of coffee. Not only does he have a battery backup in case his generator's not available during a power outage for his first cup of coffee, he's making a video about it, narrating it, and posting it to YouTube. That is hardcore. And to be honest, I had no idea that this first cup of coffee meant that much to me, but apparently it must. And you might reasonably ask why it is I need a battery backup at all. And what's going on is that the security, alarm, phones, electronics, all those systems run off battery at night and are charged by solar during the day in the event of an outage, while a generator runs to provide the base load as the batteries are being recharged, because you can't do both at once. At least not with the puny few dozen panels that I have, but looks like everything's ready and up and running on the generator side, so we can haul the machine back inside. And that is how you make a cup of coffee. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.